Tonight, the University of Regina terminates its fee agreement with its students' union, citing financial concerns. The Saskatoon Fire Department says 15% of its overdose calls this year have come from the suburbs. It hopes new data can bring insight and solutions. A Saskatoon judge was hospitalized after a serious assault during a downtown truck jacking.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It's Thursday, April 3rd, and welcome to the CBC Saskatchewan News. Hello, I'm Dan Plaster. The University of Regina Students' Union is in hot water. A letter from the university president addressed dissatisfaction with the union, and he's taken action. Liam O'Connor has more.
The University of Regina has lost confidence in its students' union, and now it's terminating its fee collection agreement with the organization.
University President Jeff Keshen released a statement Wednesday afternoon. He says the university became concerned after sifting through the student union's financial statements. Keshen says over the past several months, the university has tried to work with URSU leadership, offering financial and governance assistance. Unfortunately, URSU has not taken the steps recommended by the university to improve and address these matters. As a result, Keshen says he doesn't believe the students' union can keep serving and representing students. The university will terminate URSU's fee agreement at the end of August. That means the university will no longer collect fees from students as a part of their tuition and funnel the money to URSU to provide student services.
I'm really happy to see the university finally actually stepping up, because this is, it's not something that came out of nowhere. I don't know if very many people who've been paying attention to the student union would be surprised at this, other than the fact that the university is actually doing something.
According to publicly available financial statements, URSU reported $5.4 million from student fees in 2024. While it's unclear which aspect of URSU's financials the university takes issue with, the university president says core student services will continue in the fall 2025 term. CUPE, which represents unionized URSU students, wants reassurances.
Put all of the workers who are members of our union at the students' union on the university's payroll so that they don't lose their jobs and so that students can continue to receive the services from the students' union.
Some of those workers look after administrative duties, including student transit passes, health and dental plans, and the Lazy Owl. On social media, the student union said student representation on campus would cease to exist with URSU no longer receiving student fees, but it also acknowledged the concerns from the university and committed to working with it. Regina police say they are aware of the situation, but would not confirm or deny whether it's investigating. Liam O'Connor, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Frontline workers are bracing for a new surge in suspected drug overdoses in Saskatoon. The fire department says crews responded to 21 possible overdoses in the first 24 hours of April. It's a bad sign after calls plateaued to about 10 per day in recent weeks. Jeremy Warren has more.
Since the beginning of January, fire crews have responded to almost 840 suspected overdoses. It's straining first responders, led to the closure of 2 library branches due to staff exhaustion and unsafe working conditions. Prairie Harm Reduction also closed temporarily to give staff a break.
Engine 12 respond on EMS 128 Avenue Q, correct south, 28 Road now in Marshall.
Now the fire department is using data to learn more about the crisis. It says 120 of its overdose calls came from the suburbs, but information like the age and race of people who overdosed isn't easy to dig up.
We don't have any of that data. And so it does make it really hard to determine how do we respond best? What do we need to alter? Where are our gaps? All of those questions from a city EOC operations center, we're still trying to figure out.
Suspected overdoses are tracked by different emergency services and community groups working in addictions. The big challenge is collating numbers to get a full picture of the crisis. That's part of the job of the Provincial Emergency Operations Center. It was activated last month to help the civic and community agencies dealing with the overdose crisis. The numbers, once everything is put together, could be grim.
We suspect that we've actually got an underestimate of the number of calls that the fire department has responded to.
We could soon learn more about the carnage left behind by a poisoned drug supply. The monthly update to the provincial coroner's report into suspected drug toxicity deaths is expected this week. Jeremy Warren, CBC News, Saskatoon.
The Saskatchewan Health Authority says a 6th case of measles has been detected in the province. The latest case was found in the southwest and is not related to any of the previous cases. We're told the person with the disease was not vaccinated and recently traveled through the U.S. and Mexico. Doctors say the key to stopping the spread is increased vaccinations because the province cannot rely on herd immunity.
If we had 95% across the board of immunization, we would have extremely good herd immunity. But we have such a variation depending on which area or which little small area geography you look at that varies anything from 40, 50, 60, 80%. But either way, we are still well below.
The SHA is strongly encouraging residents to get vaccinated for the disease if they haven't already. If you're not sure of your status, you can check your record through My Sask Health Record. A 30-year-old man is in jail today, charged with assaulting a Saskatoon judge and stealing his truck. Brandon Birds from Kisiku's First Nation appeared in court today in Saskatoon. He's also charged in connection with a second robbery and a high-speed chase with RCMP southeast of the city. Dan Zakreski brings us the story.
It began here in downtown Saskatoon on Tuesday morning. The federal judge was parking when he was attacked by a man who wanted his truck. Now, it's not believed the man knew he was attacking a judge, but it was bad enough that the judge was hospitalized and the man charged with assault causing bodily harm. The suspect then took the truck and headed across town to the highway that leads to Humboldt. He stopped at this fast gas station. He's now charged with robbing the station. Then he headed east. RCMP say the suspect approached a truck pulled over on the side of Highway 5. He assaulted the driver with a weapon and stole the half-ton, leaving the judge's truck behind. The man was not seriously hurt. RCMP were able to stop the stolen truck after a high-speed chase on Highway 2 near the town of Liberty, just east of Davidson. They say the driver tried to ram their cruisers and finally had to be subdued with tasers. They arrested 30-year-old Brandon Wyatt Burns. Burns appeared here in Provincial Court this afternoon. He's charged with robbery, assault causing bodily harm, dangerous driving, and resisting arrest. Dan Zakreski, CBC News, Saskatoon.
A Prince Albert family says police need to do more to solve the missing person case of Happy Charles. Charles was last seen 8 years ago today. Police have released this surveillance footage of her walking in the city before she disappeared. Her family held a rally on Thursday in front of the Prince Albert Police Station. They want more communication on what is happening with the case and more collaboration between police and families. Many tips have come in, and the family says they've been looking into them on their own. Prince Albert Police say the investigation is ongoing. Liberal leader Mark Carney returned to his role as Prime Minister to address Donald Trump's sweeping tariffs. He outlined his plan for Canada's short and long-term response to a U.S. policy shift he called a tragedy and historic.
The 80-year period when the United States embraced the mantle of global economic leadership, when it forged alliances rooted in trust and mutual respect, and championed the free and open exchange of goods and services, is over.
Carney announced duties to match the U.S. auto tariffs and also pledged the tariffs proceeds will be used to help Canadian workers hit by Trump's trade war. The Liberal leader said Canada must commit to accelerating industry and infrastructure, cutting interprovincial trade barriers and building overseas trade relationships. For the second day in a row, the provincial legislature was focused on what companies Saskatchewan chooses to sign contracts with. The NDP took aim at the decision by the provincial government to extend a contract with Life Labs, which was recently purchased by an American company. The $60 million contract was originally awarded in 2017 and expired at the start of this month. Instead of putting the contract for lab services back to public tender, the government extended the deal by at least a year. The NDP says that with the threat of American tariffs, the province should be prioritizing local businesses. The health minister says this was about continuing to offer services to patients.
You don't hear a commitment that they're going to look seriously at ensuring that we're awarding these kinds of lucrative contracts to local companies. And that would be the bare minimum that I would expect from them.
I think we have to be very careful about, especially when it comes to delivering services in the healthcare system for Saskatchewan people and Saskatchewan families. We can't just pull the plug overnight and stop a service just because it's a company that might have U.S. operations or an American company.
Health Minister Jeremy Cockrell says the contract has the option of 2 more single-year extensions and is currently in discussions with Life Labs about its future in Saskatchewan. It was another taste of winter in Saskatoon today, but will it last? We'll tell you more about it after the break when Ethan Williams comes around with a look at weather. Stick around. Welcome back. A huge accomplishment for some students in the small town of Raymond, Alberta. They're packing up a robot they designed and developed and heading down to a robotics competition in Texas. Osei has more.
Raymond, Alberta is used to punching above its weight in competition. But the latest provincial champions from the town of 4,500 didn't win their banner with a ball or on a track. They did it with a robot.
I look at the level of complexity of the equipment that they've built, and it's outside of my skill set or league. So I'm shocked at what they've been able to do.
It all started when a new family moved into town.
Our son Seth he had been really interested in robotics, and was actually on a team in Ontario. So when he got here, he really wanted to join a team, and we looked around, and the closest thing we could find is in Calgary. And so we decided to start our own team and see how it went.
3 years and 1 provincial championship later, ASAP Robotics and their robot wheels are set to face some of the best teams from around the world at the upcoming First Robotics Championships in Houston.
I didn't think that we'd probably get this far. Yeah, when we first started, we had no clue what we were doing at all, so their drawer slides.
To compete, teams design, build, and program robots that compete against each other in time challenges. Go. Team ASAP did it all in this basement. Instead of an official setup that could cost thousands of dollars, they practice on a homemade PVC structure.
It's kind of gratifying. When you look at other teams, you're like, wow, they got a really nice setup, and we pull through with this, right?
We've gone up against these super huge, very funded private school teams, and they have the money, but we have the drive, and that's what makes us different from the rest of them.
The team says their goals go beyond winning the championship. They're also working to bring more attention to robotics in the area. They've helped set up a second team in town and another in nearby McGrath. Osei Irete, CBC News, Raymond.
Weather specialist Ethan Williams joins us now, and I know it says April 3rd on the calendar, but this morning, pretty much across the province, sure felt a lot like winter.
Yeah, definitely. I think some of us maybe even thinking about plugging in the car again in some parts of the province. We've usually had, 1 or 2 good spring warm spells so far. Usually at this point of the season, definitely has not been the case this season. We'll take a look at where we got to in terms of our daytime high temperatures across the province. Struggling to get above the freezing mark if you were in Saskatoon and central areas once again. Into Regina in the south, we did crack the freezing mark, but just barely, only a few degrees in many locations. Up further north, barely cracking -10 in a lot of places. Should be closer to the freezing mark in a place like Collins Bay or Stony Rapids. Certainly not getting there as we've gone through Thursday. Add to that, still felt like winter in terms of sky conditions. Snow continuing to move throughout southern Saskatchewan. You saw earlier there, Saskatoon got a good dose of snow a little bit earlier Thursday as well before that started to move out. But there is a change coming in the skies, and after the last little bit of some flurries and light snow move through southern Saskatchewan as we get into early Friday, high pressure moves in. The sky's clear, and that becomes a major theme weather-wise over these next few days, especially as we head into the weekend. Watching a small disturbance that'll bring a little bit of light snow into eastern sections and into the Parkland region as we get into early Saturday morning, but even that pretty much makes a quick exit into Manitoba. And aside from a few sprinkles or some light flurries here and there as we head into Sunday, things overall looking not too bad. And with that lack of new snow and with temperatures warming up with that sunshine, that's going to start to eat away at the snowpack. You see much of extreme southern Saskatchewan doesn't have any snow on the ground, but in that area between Regina and Saskatoon, especially as we get into early next week, the snow really going to start to dissipate. And that means in terms of runoff, that area between Regina and Saskatoon, though, still has a good chance of seeing above normal runoff, according to Thursday's report from the Water Security Agency. Not expecting any flooding, though, at this point. And you can see throughout the rest of the province, they're kind of looking at near or even below normal runoff, even though we have still quite a bit of snowpack on the ground in the north. And that melt, though, not going to happen very quickly, especially as we head into Friday. Wake-up wind chills, making it feel like minus 30 into the far north and even through central Saskatchewan. Look at that, feeling like minus 20 in places like Saskatoon and Wynyard. Might need a few extra winter garments as you head out the door. Thankfully, that's not going to last too long. Regina will shoot up to maybe the double digits on Saturday after a day near freezing Friday. We get a bit of a blip in the warm weather as we get into Sunday, Monday, but then things return full bore with warm weather as we get Tuesday through Thursday into next week, albeit a little bit breezy at times and with maybe some increasing cloudiness here and there. For Saskatoon, it's a bit more of a gradual warm-up for us folks. We're looking for another day below freezing for Friday, but then those temperatures getting much warmer as we head through the weekend. A nice weekend in store, and the beginning of next week, yes, looking possibly, Dan, at some double digits. So, yeah, winter still hanging on, but spring, it's coming.
I can still complain, though, can't I?
Of course, and as long as you're not complaining to me, that's fine.
No, I like you too much for that.
Okay, well, thank you.
You're welcome. Everyone can imagine the difficulties that a spinal injury can pose. Not as well known, perhaps, is a device aimed at helping. CBC News takes this look at one of just two in Atlantic Canada and one man's physiotherapy with it.
First straight step in 3, 2, 1.
The Exoskeleton is a battery-operated wearable walking device that allows individuals that have minimal movement in their legs, that require assistance to walk, to get up and take steps, and to train in a rehab setting to improve their walking or to kind of start walking if it's after a new injury. It has motors at the hip and at the knee. It allows patients to take more steps than they otherwise could over ground. So we're working on what we call neuroplasticity and actually changing the nervous system by taking more steps.
Spinal injury, T10, which is about a little over halfway down the back, but I have a little lower than that. I can feel my hips and stuff, so it's a little lower.
And his sessions last about an hour, and it's working on reconditioning. It's working on getting him used to being in a standing position, getting back to being able to walk and know what it feels like again to walk.
No, the only other one is that right.
Feels like walking again.
Yeah.
Yeah, feels pretty amazing.
It's great to see him, upright again, right? And we talk about the benefits of standing, bone health, management of spasticity, contractures, cardiovascular. There's so many different reasons for standing. But one of the big things that always brings a smile to my face is when I have somebody eye to eye again, right? So for him, he's often looking up. And I think he gets a kick out of it too, because he's seeing me eye to eye, which he hasn't, for a while. So yeah, I think there's a lot of pleasure in that as well, and sort of like that psychological benefit.
Parts of Australia are cleaning up after huge swells and king tides battered Sydney's beaches on Tuesday. This is a surfing club in the iconic Bondi Beach. The waves crashed into it, damaging the balconies and shattering its glass doors. King tides are rare and happen once or twice a year in coastal regions. The alignment of the Earth, Moon, and Sun combine to cause these massive tidal effects. We'll be back with more after the break. Spring will soon be in the air, finally, which means you might start doing some spring cleaning in the days ahead. We spoke to a cleaning expert on CBC Radio's Blue Sky who says there are 5 key products that you need to clean just about every part of your house.
So Pad or Tide, which goes a long way. I would say a good vacuum, like something that has suction, because once you start, it's really good idea to just vacuum everything first instead of starting to wipe and like make a muck and dust and hair and everything around. It's best to vacuum it. Blue Dawn for glass and light fixtures. It works really good on stainless steel. And not straight. We're going to mix it with a little bit of water. Vinegar for the shower glass. Bleach. Is that 4 or is that 5?
That's 5. With bleach is 5.
5, yeah, but don't mix vinegar and bleach. But the Blue Dawn shower mixture that I spoke about before with the vinegar, because the vinegar will deal with hard water. Bleach will not deal with hard water, but bleach will, disinfect a lot of stuff. And it's good for toilets, all of that stuff. So it's really, a lot of the stuff that I use is just old school cleaning basics. Like, yes, there's amazing new products that are on the market, like Barkeeper's Fern. I love that product so much, but if I had to go clean a desert island, those are the things I would bring.
Ethan Williams is back. Are you ready for some spring cleaning?
I'm ready for spring cleaning, but I don't think the weather's going to feel much like spring cleaning, unless you like, doing the spring cleaning when it's colder. You stay inside, get everything all cleaned up. Who knows? But nonetheless, yeah, unfortunately, spring far from our grasp at this point. Let's take a look at what we're looking at for overnight temperatures and conditions across the province. Yeah, a lot of us, that's going to feel closer to -20, especially if you're in central Saskatchewan. Although, again, the good news is the last of the flurries and cloud cover should be clearing out, bringing us some clear skies. Northern Saskatchewan, especially in the far north there, dropping below -20 again. And that means that we're going to be feeling closer to -30 at times. But even the north getting to finally enjoy some clearer conditions, and especially in the Churchill region, getting close to that freezing mark again. For south and central Saskatchewan, again, a nice sunny day, looking very nice. Those temperatures warming up to near the freezing mark. Still going to be below seasonal for this time of year. But with the sunnier conditions, the wind's a little bit lighter. Dan, we will get closer and closer to spring, and I promise it is on the way.
And that I will thank you for.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Ethan.
You're welcome.
And that's all we have for you for now. For more news anytime, head to cbc.ca/Sask or go to our YouTube channel. Also, don't forget, download the CBC News app on your smartphone. Thanks for watching, everybody.